That's what it was. And Top Model was like the same way. It was like the girl that was plus size was like this big, like teeny tiny, and they would get on them, berate them if they gained a pound during the competition. And they're like, you need to either lose some or gain some to be quote unquote plus size. It's really toxic, and Top Model has so many problematic aspects to it that are pretty famous now. I mean, TYRA fixing, like making people fix their teeth, or
Cutting their
the
hair,
blackface.
blackface.
I mean, yeah,
She did
so bad.
psychological warfare on
She,
those girls, and she just did it for fun. Like, I think Tyra was one of those women who she wanted to be an actress. And I mean, she did. She
mm-hmm,
was in Life Size,
yeah,
but I think she wanted the drama of it all. And she got her own reality show. And she was like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to teach these girls how to model, but it's giving very Jigsaw. Like, let's play a game. Like, fix your gap tooth or go home.
she
And the
did.
girl fixed it. And she was like, actually, go home still.
Yeah, she did the thing for sure.
Hey guys, what's up? And welcome back to Inherently Gay Podcast. I'm Justin Dallas. You know me, you love me. Now, this week I'm super excited to talk about our theme, what is inherently gay without, being in the life of pop culture, and what is pop culture without reality TV. So I'm super excited. Set the DVRs. Here with me today, we have Zelenny of Miscellaneous, the YouTube series. So welcome. How's it going?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. I feel like we have so much content. Like, I feel like I could talk about reality TV. And I don't know about you, but I was essentially like raised on reality TV.
Oh, me too. And I'm excited to get into all that. And I think it's interesting how we met, I feel like is related to reality TV
Yes.
because we met in line to see the Sibling Rivalry podcast, live taping of it, which is the hosts are Bob the Drag Queen and Monet Exchange, who became famous for being on RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's all
It's
connected.
all
No, yeah,
Madam
I
Web
we got to meet,
connection.
yeah, Matt, very Madam Web, very Sydney Sweeney. We love it. I'm Dakota Johnson. I'm like, no, that's not true, Ellen, which ties back to the Ellen show. But before we kind of get a little chaotic, if you're just tuning in, depending on like what age you're at, and like just how you were raised, a lot of you might also, have grown up watching reality TV. And if you identify as, othered, POC, queer, LGBT, lesbian, whatever have you, you might have, found yourself in the identity of reality TV where, you probably couldn't see people who look like you or identify with you in like the regular public eye. So I kind of want to take it back. I feel like reality TV is such a big gambit, but I kind of want to start off with what was like the first reality TV shows that kind of shaped you?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because we all have our reality TV origin story.
Yes.
And for me, it's definitely the biggest show when I was growing up. This channel called Oxygen back in the day used to do marathons every weekend of America's Next Top Model.
Ooh, okay.
And so I I grew up with like a single mom. She worked a lot, and I'm from like a Mexican family, and so the TV was kind of my best friend in a lot of ways. I wasn't doing a lot of extracurricular activities. I was kind of shy. I didn't have too many friends, so reality TV was a place where I found a lot of escape, and I learned a lot. And I think America's Next Top Model is the show I would watch full seasons of because this was like pre-streaming. We didn't have it just available
Yeah.
like the full season. It was just like if you caught it live, you caught it live. And so yeah, Top Model definitely was it. And I think that show shaped me so much because it taught me about like the LGBTQ plus community, and
Mm-hmm.
it really elevated people from that community because they weren't just contestants, they were judges, they were experts in the field. And so I think that was very key for me to grow up in a more accepting way,
Mm-hmm.
and just learning because I was pretty sheltered. So that was just the place I learned about these people. And
Yeah.
I always loved creative competition shows. Those were my favorite. So, like the occasional American Idol, I love Project Runway. The weirdest one I grew up with also was that wasn't a creative competition, but it kind of slides in that way, is Dance Moms. Because in every episode they do a dance competition, even though but the structure of the show is a little more housewives. So those were kind of the main shows shaping me growing up, but Top Model I think was like the one.
That was it. That's so funny you say that, because I think Miss J from the show was also the first queer person I saw live. And you're so right. I think like if you're a kid today, if you're even Gen Z, like you have it so easy. Like we had to watch it when it was on. It was like at 2 a.m. in the morning, whatever you could do it on, Oxygen, VH1, MTV, all of those shows, FX. It was like if you could get it, you could get it. We were on the Oregon Trail. We were roughing it out.
The doors we opened.
The doors we opened on a Saturday night at 2 a.m. because like you're so right. Like if you were more shy and introverted like I was as a kid, I was like in, a small community or a very, community that looked the same, or there wasn't a lot of diversity. I looked at reality TV kind of as a lens to the greater, aspect of the community to see, what the world looked like, what it could look like. Growing up as a small, queer Latino kid, I like could see people living their best lives in like the real world Seattle, or the real world, New Orleans. Like that was a really big show at the time. But for me, my origin stories in reality TV, I have two. And we'll kind of talk about this later about the different archetypes of reality TV. But I love competition reality TV, but the first, I guess, like type of reality TV I saw was the love reality TV, or the love competition reality TV. So I'm talking about Flavor of Love. I'm talking about Tila Tequila, A Double Shot at Love, which we don't really talk about her now. She's a little...
I know.
She's a little under the rug. It's like, oops, not the fracking. But no, Flavor Flav, that was like the first type of reality show that I like watched, and I was just obsessed with, because my little gay ass at 8 years old lived for the drama. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know any of the innuendos. But when I saw like Flavor Flav, I saw, Goldie, I saw Hottie, Hoops, all of them, Pumpkin. And then, of course, the queen herself, Tiffany Pollard, New York. She kind of raised me. She was dipped in the mother lake. Like she baptized me as a young gay person. And she still has, tenure all the way up until today. Like she's still relevant, and that just, we'll talk about that later, like how authenticity plays into that. But like she was, the first person I saw in reality TV, and I was like, I love her. I love just the fierceness of her. I love the way she embodied herself and moved around, and I was just like, slap me, bitch. Like it was just like, she had all the energy.
She's the queen of reality TV, reigning. Actually, I just watched her on House of Villains. That's like the last project she did, and she's gonna be on season 2 again, just because
she's so iconic.
The queen. Yeah,
so iconic.
I was like, absolutely, this is correct. So that's a good one.
And then like the other one with Tila Tequila, it was very much a queer show. It was very much like, for people who don't know, like Tila Tequila was kind of like what we would consider like a social media influencer type person back in the day. And she was bisexual, so she had a dating show, but half the contestants were men, half the contestants were women. And me being young, I was like rooting for the girl. I was like, okay, I need you to find like a sapphic love. And like it was just a lot of like a lot of shows back then. It was a lot of drinking, fighting, arguing, sleeping with each other. And I remember so vividly, I was in my room and I would turn the volume down to like 2. Because 1, it came out super late, like 11 p.m., which was like way past my bedtime. And then also like they were talking about like sex and drinking, and I would have the volume at like 0.2, almost reading subtitles, my ear to the speaker, trying to figure out what happened so I didn't like wake my parents or like my other sibling,
It was raunchy. I was a little scared of those shows back then, because I was such a like goody, like I was a little scared. I would just see a lot of the clips from it. I would watch The Soup a lot. I don't know if you ever watched The Soup with Joel McHale.
No.
It's really problematic, like looking back on it. He was just making fun of reality TV. It's kind of like Tosh.0,
okay,
like those shows where there's like a guy on a green screen and he's like playing a clip, and then making jokes about it. But watching that show regularly, I remember it was like Friday nights, that tells you what I was doing on Friday nights. But it really helped me see like the iconic clips from every show that was going on at the time. So it was a good way, like, even though I didn't watch full episodes of Tila Tequila and all the shows Tiffany Pollard was on, they were frequent stars of the clips because they were so iconic. So I feel like the soup helped me a little bit get this like overview of the whole landscape at the time.
It was your news outlet.
Yeah, it was the news. That was the only news I've ever watched.
No, I watched Disney Channel growing up, but I was just a little. Also, speaking of New York, there's a famous quote by her when she was just like, "I was just born like in the know," and it was just like I was watching my like Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place and Zack and Cody from like 2 to 3, and then 6 on I was turning on, you know, Flavor of Love and Charm School and seeing like who the girls were fighting, and like, oh my god, this is so bad, but like on Oxygen, like I also watched Bad Girls Club.
Oh my god. Bad Girls.
Never been in a fight in my life, but I was always just like telling my brother and my cousins, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna beat this bitch down, like let's go, let's like touch me, and like,
my god.
Meanwhile I'm like 8 years old and like it's like let's role play school and Docker. It's like, no, let's do Baddies Austin.
I would role play Celebrity Big Brother, like Mexican Celebrity Big Brother with my little kid cousin when I was like 5. I'm like, what was I doing playing Big Brother? We would go like in the shower to be the confessional. It was so dumb.
I tell my friends now, I'm like, we should, whenever we do like, you know, like a friends trip or something, I'm like, we should have like a confessional room.
Yes.
I think that'd be so cute. And maybe this is just like, you know, brain rot. I'm just like, I think in reality TV, I'm so impressionable. Like, I'm thinking of when I was younger, kind of going back to the earlier shows, like reality TV was so problematic too. Like, I think rewatching a lot of old reality TV, you would definitely hear outcries on TikTok now. Like one of the show, like besides just like all of the like the slurs and the way they portrayed like people of color and gay people and queer people, there was one show, I don't know if you ever watched it, but like I grew up with a single mom who was always trying different, you know, diets and exercises. I would watch Biggest Loser with her.
I knew you were gonna say that.
And like I would go with her to like the grocery stores, and she would get like the Skinny Cow, or she would get these things, and like me being a 7-year-old eating Skinny Cow and like all of these Atkins food, and I'm just like, this is not healthy. But I would like watch them sit on the scale, and then the trainers would berate the contestants, being like, you fatty, you didn't lose 2 pounds this week. And like they would yell at them, and I was just like, it was intense.
That's the 2000s for you. Like if you didn't live it, you're lucky, because that's what it was. And Top Model was like the same way. It was like the girl that was plus size was like this big, like teeny tiny, and they would get on them, berate them if they gained a pound during the competition. And they're like, you need to either lose some or gain some to be quote unquote plus size. It's really toxic, and Top Model has so many problematic aspects to it that are pretty famous now. I mean, TYRA making people fix their teeth, or
cutting
the
their hair. Blackface.
I mean,
She did psychological warfare on those girls, and she just did it for fun. Like, I think TYRA was one of those women who she wanted to be an actress. And I mean, she did. She was in Life Size.
Yeah.
But I think she wanted the drama of it all. And she got her own reality show. And she was like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to teach these girls how to model, but it's giving very Jigsaw. Like, let's play a game. Like, fix your gap tooth or go home. And the girl fixed it, and she was like, actually, go home still.
Yeah, she did the thing for sure. TYRA's wild. And looking back, it's so entertaining, but so messed up. And to me, like, the craziest thing about reality TV is like that dichotomy of like the whole point since the very beginning is about exploitation and like casting diverse people for the purpose of making conflict. So like casting a Christian and atheist. So season 1 of Top Model is all about Christians versus atheists. Casting like a homophobic older straight man with a young gay man and seeing the conflict. And I feel like that's really messed up for the people involved, having to be put in that situation. And also like the person of a different identity sometimes is pushed to like fit the stereotypes of that identity. So like on Top Model, it's like they would tell the black girls to act more black or things like that, where it's messed up. But then the other side, the flip side of reality TV, is that it's showing this diversity you're talking about, and people all over the country and the world are seeing themselves on TV, and these people are being put on TV for millions to see, and that's so important. And in scripted media, it's so much more behind and so much less diverse, that reality TV was the only place we were seeing bisexual women like Tila Tequila. I think that's the first time I heard of bisexuality, that and Top Model contestants on there. So it's just so interesting how it's like, it's so sad it exploits these people and puts them through psychological torture, and then at the same time it helps so many different kinds of people feel seen.
It's so interesting because I think definitely like reality TV back then was just, it was so quote unquote, like whatever you want to call it, problematic, not right, just because also it was the first time we ever had reality TV. We never had anything like this before. Like we were putting it on its head, the way media worked. We were tuning in live, and you were waiting by your TV week after week to see what would happen. Like I'm thinking of like American Idol, like I'm sure people voted more in American Idol than they did like in the government polls.
That's so true.
Like you were doing American Idol, it was real world. I think the first time I heard about a gay person, like besides Will and Grace, but like on reality, like a real person was on the real world. And it was someone I think who was dealing with like HIV or something and coming out. And I had no idea like about any of this. So, like I used it as a lens to learn. And while yes, like I think it was very problematic in like doing rewatches, like even if you rewatch Jersey Shore, it's so toxic. But the grace that I kind of do think about is, I think of reality TV it's in a vacuum, and it's a part of a zeitgeist of the total culture. So, I think reality TV tells the current story and landscape of how the world is operating at large. So, at that time, like people weren't placing a lot of importance on diversity and identity and what makes someone unique. It was kind of just an ensemble of characters, and it was very heavily produced, favoring, one type of body image or one type of skin color or, sexuality.
Yeah, definitely.
I think too, just like kind of thinking about reality TV, and, I hear a lot of like flack from people, like it's all about ego, really. Like they'll be like, oh, I don't like watching reality TV, or that crap rots your brain. Like it's like, okay, like you want a cookie? Like you're doing so much better than me.
I don't have time for those people. And also to me it's crazy, like throughout my life I've noticed like the smartest people I've met and known are obsessed with some reality show. It's so weird. Like the valedictorian at my high school, I'll never forget. That kind of woke me up to this. Like I had so much respect for her, and I was like, oh my God, she's the, because I was trying to be, whatever, get high grades and be ranked and stupid high school stuff. But one day I just heard her talking about The Bachelor and how like just really going in on it, and I was just like, she watches The Bachelor? I mean, this was back when like Pick Me was the popular thing to be and not the unpopular thing. And I was like, she watches The Bachelor? And then I was like, okay, we're not so different. And also, like, that's awesome. Like, she's smart and she watches The Bachelor. Like, good for her.
Yeah, I think reality TV, like, anybody I talk to, like, is super, I mean, whether, like, depending on, like, whatever job you have, whatever, who cares about that? Like, I think if you love looking at how people operate, if you love observing, reality TV is so much more depth than just, like, what you see on the screen. Like it is sociology, it is anthropology, it is, looking at, the bit, like I said, the zeitgeist of what is currently happening in the culture. You're getting to see, different shows, you're getting to see different characters. And like someone like me who was interested in psychology and studied psychology at university, it was just like, okay, I'm watching Love is Blind. I'm always going to accompany like whatever show I'm watching to like a required text. So I'm like, Love is Blind, I'm looking at, styles of attachment. I'm looking at, The Body Keeps the Score, because it all kind of correlates. And it's really cool because you learn about these ideas and these philosophies and how people interact just on a social level, and then you see them play out on live screen, and you kind of are able to connect it and learn. So it's all about learning. We're social creatures at the end of the day, and I definitely think reality TV is way deeper than, what meets the eye.
It's so deep. And like for me, there's like kind of two types, and it comes down to like human nature. It's like humans either want to see what they would do in an extreme situation. So that's like your competitions, your dating experiments, that kind of thing. Like we like to project like, what would I do in that situation? Or humans just want to see what different types of people do behind closed doors. So that's more like your housewives, your Kardashians, that type of more docu. Like those to me are like the two big buckets in reality TV, and they come down to that human desire of like either we want to project and see what we would do in a Love is Blind in a pod if we can't see our partner, or we just want to know because we're chismosos what people are doing behind closed doors, how the other half or the 1% live in the case of rich people shows, or if it's like job shows where it's waiters or whoever, we just want to see what they're doing.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's all about connection. Like you were saying, like, let's break down the different archetypes of reality TV. So like competition for sure. Like you have like the challenge. A show that I got into during the pandemic was Survivor. I watched all of the Survivor, and like I always tell people, if I ever did a reality TV show, I would either do RuPaul's Drag Race or Survivor.
You would be so good on Survivor.
It's a social game. And again, it's a social game. And again, like I was like watching TikToks like about reality TV like before I got here, and this girl was just talking about Survivor and how it's literally like the Lord of the Flies or like Yellow Jacket. Like you have all of these concepts. It's very meta because you have the real world, and then you have the game within the real world, and you have all of these philosophies and these ideas you grew up with. You have social structure, you have gender roles, you have communion, community, how people function, and you're just dropped on an island for X amount of days, and you sort of form your own tribes, you form your alliances, you learn how to be conniving, and it's so interesting. And I'm like, I don't know how I would do, but
I think you do good. I would die immediately in like the challenges and the elements. Like I'm just a glamour type of girl. Like I can't handle not having AC. But Survivor is such a good game. It has so many. Over the years, it's been on for like 24 years. It's one of the first of these like what reality TV we know of today started with Survivor and the real world, I think mostly, and the stories that they've told, and I don't know, it's just such a good game, and I love competition reality, and only in my adult life I got into like non-creative ones, more social ones like Survivor. It was more recent for me as well, but I always recommend that one. That's a good one.
And I think it's so interesting too, that because it is kind of like people creating their own rules in their own society, how these ideas that kind of plague our regular society still fall into that. Because I was looking at a TikTok, I read an article that said it was by this Black woman that was saying, I would never go on Survivor because Black women are usually the first type of, castmates to get voted off the island because, there's in-clique groups, and there's misogynoir, and there's gender roles, and there's, these gender roles of the men protecting the women, and then women of, color getting thrown aside or casted out because they're always in the other group. And I was like, you know what, that's so right. Like I never thought about it, but it's kind of effed up how like you can play this game where they literally say make your own rules, and then we still fall into these traps of racism, misogynoir, stereotyping, gender roles, all of that.
Right now on the current season and every freaking season of Survivor, like the men are so scared of a women's alliance, and they see a pretty girl that they're attracted to low-key, and they're like, she's a mastermind, let's get her out, and the girl's not doing anything. It's just so dumb.
Well, it goes back to one of the seasons, like one of the queens of Survivor, like
Parvati,
Sandra, like the Black Widow group with like Suri and all of them, like they ended up doing like an all-female alliance, kicked out all the men, they tricked the men into giving them their immunity items.
But ever since, every season, the men are like, we can't let the women
exactly
go. It's so that's dumb, but there never really is after that. That's like the one season, and it's iconic. It's like the best season.
Yeah, I think the girl that the woman that I was watching the TikTok about
Mhm.
that was talking about how Black women fare in
Yeah.
Survivor, she was saying out of the like 40 something seasons, there's only been 2
Mhm.
Black women survivors.
Yeah.
One within the original 4 seasons, and then most recently, I think it was like Marianne.
Yeah, Marianne. Yeah, it's literally been like 20 years apart, probably. It's pretty messed up. I think the newer seasons, new era Survivor after season 40, they've done a good job. At least they like CBS made this initiative to cast half, like people of color on every single season. So I think the casts now are a little more interesting in that way, more diverse. And I'm hopeful. There's I mean, yeah, last season or a couple seasons ago, it was like a Latino gay man that won, and I've just been seeing more diversity in the winners. And I appreciate that initiative. And I wish other shows would do it, but hopefully it's getting a little better. There's a lot of issues like cost cutting they've done with New York Survivor, but I think the casts lately have been the best part.
Oh, slay.
Yeah.
And I mean, that makes the most sense. Like, why wouldn't you want to have a game or a show that reflects the population? Because you're going to want people to tune in. And that, I think that was one of the original reasons of why people started reality TV and tuned in, was because they wanted to see themselves on screen.
Yeah.
So we talked about competition reality shows.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk about the dating show, the dating archetype. So like kind of like the late 2000s to maybe, maybe the 2010s, like the dating shows of that time. So it was like, The Bachelor, of course.
The Bachelor started it all.
Which I actually never got into. I've seen a couple seasons. I've been to watch parties, but I've never fully watched a season.
Me too. I think I've watched 1 or 2 seasons through, like, live as they were going, but I'm not too into The Bachelor. It's very, like, hetero, cookie cutter, traditional, and I prefer more queer-leaning or creative shows in general. But, yeah.
Did you ever watch Love Island?
No, but I kind of want to get into it because they just announced the new host is from Vanderpump Rules, so I'm kind of like, should I start?
And that's the British one, right?
Well, they have a U.S. one, so the U.S. one's the new one they announced, but I think the U.K. one's like the good one.
Okay, I literally just want to watch the British one or the U.K. one just so I can like, I always pick up accents just so I can be like, you're right, babes. Like, just start talking like that. Like, I really fancy him. Like, he's really fit, But yeah, we had that one, which I'm not really a big like love reality show person. I mainly tend towards like the competition or the creative, or the third kind of archetype I was thinking of was just like your standard like scripted reality. So like a la like the Kardashians, or I don't know what's another one, like Jersey Shore. Housewives. Yeah. Which Housewives I've always wanted to start, and I ended up starting during the pandemic, y'all. Was a big reality like wave for me. So I started Survivor, but I also watched all of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I watched all of Real Housewives Beverly Hills, and I watched all of Real Housewives of Potomac, and I'm starting New York soon.
That's a lot. You're doing your homework.
But I want to say, whenever I started Beverly Hills, I don't know, have you watched that show?
I've only seen some episodes. Like, I've started it, but I'm still going.
Okay, I joke with my friend because she got me into it. And whenever I started watching it, I got like a little gay vibe from Kyle Richards.
Oh.
And this was in 2020. Come to find out, now there's like allegations of like she's talking to this like artist and musician, which once we like you get into reality TV and they kind of do the marketing for you, like they have their own spin-off show within like the reality TV universe. So like there's Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She has her husband, Umansky, the agency group, and he has his own show, which is on a completely different network. It's on Netflix, Buying Beverly Hills. But if you're a fan of reality TV, like you don't even need the backstory. It's kind of like supplemental reading. Like it's so interesting. But yeah, the Housewives, I got really into the Kardashians during the pandemic as well. But the Hulu updated version.
Me too. I've been watching that. It's so boring. I don't like it, but I watch it anyway. I just have to know what they're doing. I don't know.
And I think we just love that, like, they don't really do anything.
Yeah.
They're just there and they fight about nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think lately I gotta commend Bravo for like the Empire. It's like a whole industrial complex they have going on, and I'm kind of like mad now. I've only kind of recently dipped my toe into Bravo. Really, I had
Hmm.
watched like Housewives of Salt Lake City during the pandemic, but I got really into Vanderpump Rules the last few months, and that's a Bravo show that spun off of Beverly Hills. But I'm just like now I'm like mad at Drag Race and MTV or like whoever other shows for not having such like a robust like
Universe.
system. Yeah, universe. Like just having Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen platforming these stars and just like making them more stars and like the goofy games they play that
Yeah.
are so specific to their shows. I've just been watching that more lately and I'm like other people need to get with the program and like promote their stars. Like imagine a Watch What Happens of like Drag Race or drag
Oh,
queens.
I'd live.
That'd be amazing. And like whoever can host it, an old alumni, Michelle, whoever wants to. I don't know. I feel like other networks are kind of sleeping and Bravo's really doing it.
Honestly, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe has nothing on Bravo. Like, and I'll be honest, like I think like Bravo kind of took a dip for a couple of like years or seasons just because like the storylines, the housewives, the different like franchises were getting kind of old and nothing was really happening. Like nobody was really tuning in, and I think there was a resurgence with Salt Lake.
Mm-hmm.
I think this past season it was so good. I literally started watching from the beginning because
Oh my God.
of that finale episode, and like I think the Salt Lake City finale with like the housewife
Receipts.
receipts,
Proof.
timelines, screenshots, captions, truth, tea, spill it. Now like those vital moments, like it kind of resurged, and I think like now there's like Vanderpump Villas.
Yeah. And that's on Hulu. So yeah, it's crazy. The Bravo Empire is like going to streaming now and other
Yeah.
places. It's wild.
It's giving like the sun never sets on the British Empire. Like
It doesn't.
it's growing, and even with like Beverly Hills, like I haven't watched the recent season because like it honestly hasn't been worth tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
But like sudden, like she's being like name them, timeline, screenshots. Like I love it. I love the drama, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I wish Drag Race could evolve because there's so much
Mm-hmm.
material there.
Yeah, so many entertainers that are just built for like being performing and being live and being on and I don't know. I'm just like Bravo has it together and I don't necessarily love like I don't feel like Bravo's very diverse, for example. So it's like it would be great to have more empires like Bravo but for more diverse programs.
And I think we tend to like skew towards Drag Race just because it is more, visibility on queer culture, on POC culture, on, stereotypically like what's not shown, which is like it's normally like heterosexual and white.
Yeah.
And like you get to see these other identities, which even now, like even Drag Race has grown and like progressed. Like now they have like transgender contestants and like, like women born queens, like women queens who identify as like biological women, like as presenting as like hyper femme queens or even drag kings and stuff like that. So I think it's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the TV. And I feel like now we're in such an interesting era of reality TV because I think social media and the internet is really like so connected to it. And
Mhm.
fans are just so much more ravenous and they just want behind the scenes content. They want spoilers and they want to like discover. It's kind of like this Dumois culture, like of the where they like spotted this person at this thing.
Mhm.
I don't know that part of social media and like the fourth wall breaking and the meta of it all, it's like so kind of crazy right now is what I've recently been thinking about.
Well, yeah, like even like for Drag Race and Housewives, for example, like it's kind of giving like you're not even getting the full story if you just watch the show because social media has played such a big aspect where at the Housewife reunions, they'll talk like maybe 20 minutes of the reunion is what happens on Twitter off the show, like stars beefing and like they pull up the conversations and the tweets and like the audience, they want, if they're seeing the Kardashians like in their living room, they're going to want to know what's going on behind like the fourth wall. So like they're wanting to know, they're wanting background scenes, they're wanting TikToks.
Well, like the assistant has a tell-all, the chef, the chef has a TikTok. It's like this whole culture of like we just want to see the truth and It's kind of insane. It's a video I did recently about Vanderpump Rules, because Vanderpump Rules is really struggling in its current season with figuring that all out, because they had such a huge cheating scandal last year that kind of broke it all down, and now fans are just like digging at everything, and it's just kind of scary. And I don't know, it's the internet is really taking over. And then it also feels like a lot of like YouTubing and YouTube like vloggers and Twitch streamers, it's kind of like a reincarnation of reality TV too. So that's like a whole separate thing, I guess. But I watch these lifestyle vloggers, and I feel like it's not dissimilar to the Kardashians. It's the same kind of thing. Or if you're watching like a live Twitch streamer, it's like back in the day, live finale. I don't know. It's kind of a new.
It's kind of like the snake is eating its own tail now, because now you don't. The part of the glamour of early 2000s reality TV, and even predating reality TV, just like movies and film stars, was kind of like the unapproachableness to that. With today's age, it's so much different than early 2000s reality TV, because there is social media, and now the cycle has come full circle, where now people who are, you know, you have contestants on shows where they're like, oh, I watched this growing up, or I'm huge fans, or like Lux Noir London from Drag Race, like she quotes, you know, 10 times like past seasons on her current season. It's very meta. And like you even have plot lines and storylines that happen because of stuff that's like on social media. So like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, like the big plot point of this current season was Reality Von Teese, which is an Instagram account. And the whole season is all about this Instagram account that has it's not really technically a part of the show, but it's affected the Housewives so much because social media has so much power.
It's wild. And everyone has like a podcast too. Everyone has a YouTube channel.
I'm like, hey.
Like everyone on these shows.
Name them. Screenshots, timelines.
Right. Us, literally. But they go on the show, and then they start beefing because one of them said something in a podcast about the other, and it's just like there's so much content. I'm overwhelmed. I'm like,
yeah,
it's a lot, but I eat it all up. I listen to like 3 or 4 recap Drag Race podcasts.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's like you watch Drag Race, then you watch Untucked, then you watch Sibling Rivalry, then you watch The Pit Stop, then you watch Race Chaser, and like all of these other all these supplemental readings. But I do kind of want to talk about that, because in the age of this like instant gratification, like gimme, like I'm never full, like I always want content, just like this insatiable amount and desire to consume content. I think that's kind of why there's been a downfall of reality TV. And over the years, like obviously, like there's always going to be a Survivor show, there's always going to be, you know, a Drag Race, a Bachelor, but you know, the views and the viewership has kind of like been stagnant. I think that there's been recently a resurgence of reality TV in the past couple years, mainly by like Netflix and like a lot of big streamers, because we're used to binging. It's so funny because I think streaming services kind of killed reality TV because you had the ability to binge everything. And now they're kind of bringing it back and bringing the hype around reality TV or competition shows back, because they're still a big service, but they're not releasing all of the episodes. Like they're still dropping each episode weekly, so it makes you want to wait. So like, you know, Traitors or Drag Race, you know, it's weekly. It's always been weekly, but there's just so much conversation going around that like it almost like keeps the audience like on the edge of their seat waiting week after week.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's hard. I feel like some shows struggle. Like there's so much, like Netflix is like the queen of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, and Love is Blind and Ultimatum are like their stars, but they have so much trash that they do release like the full season and nobody cares. But I feel like people just respond to authenticity and like concept, and some shows just strike it. And something like Love is Blind, that phenomenon is so wild. It's the reason I have a YouTube channel that's somewhat successful, and like I got monetized last year, which was really cool, because I was covering Love is Blind and the Ultimatum. The Queer Ultimatum was amazing, and I want more queer dating shows. There's so much untapped potential there.
And messiness.
Yeah, messiness, exactly. That season was wild. It was unhinged and it was amazing. So, yeah, I think right now it's just kind of all over the place, and then audiences just gravitate towards where they find some authenticity, something raw and real underneath all of the like production and glamour, because you have to like find those little moments that feel real. And that's like the heart of like a good reality show.
And it's always so interesting, and I kind of want to talk about this later, but this idea of like blame it on the edit and the producers, because when you go on reality TV, just by default, you're always gonna have like different archetypes of a character on a reality TV show. You're gonna have like the underdog, the winner, the villain, and a lot of times people who get villainized and they get a lot of backlash from like the audience and social media. What I really see is like not necessarily, some of them are the villains, some of them are, evil, they do bad things, but a lot of the times what ends up getting villainized is a lack of authenticity. And it's like when you're not being yourself and when you're not being, you don't know who you are and you're not operating and moving in that way, it's so easy for the audience to kind of point that out and be like, oh, she's fake, or oh, he's doing that. Like it's, it's very much, I'm trying to think of like someone like that. Oh, like Q from the recent season of Drag Race.
Yeah.
She had the potential to be really cool. Like she was a really good costume designer, all of that, but I just don't think she was being like the most authentic. And like I want to humanize these characters because I'm like, at the end of the day, they are humans, and I think a lot of the times the audience, we forget to see them as humans and we see them as characters on a TV show. I'm like, no, this is real life humans making real life choices, and like maybe we're able to see their lack of, self-awareness, but they have to go through that journey like once they get off camera.
Yeah, I think audiences are smart and they see right through it if you're not being authentic, and they respond to authenticity. Even if someone's a really bad villain, if they're being authentic, I mean, like playing Jane.
Yeah.
People hated her at first, but it feels like now
she got a redemption arc.
Yeah, she got redeemed and she got embraced. She showed vulnerability, like RuPaul says. That's like key to tapping into authenticity and for audiences to be able to see it. But I do think people just take it so far online, and I have to give a disclaimer every video that like, yes, I'm gonna be judgy and whatever, but I'm judging edited versions and personas they're putting on for a camera, and I'm not judging the human behind, like the actual human, because humans are multifaceted, and reality TV just like loves to just type people and label them as like a thing, and they can't really be anything else, or they don't show the other sides if it doesn't fit like their main narrative. So I think, I don't know, people just need to like touch grass a little bit sometimes, and I try to remind people every single video just because it's necessary, that it's just like they're humans and they don't need to be sent hate or death threats or whatever the hell else. Like,
and people are allowed to grow. Like, Fifi O'Hara from season 4 is not the same person she is today, or maybe, I don't know, but like, Sam and Ronnie from Jersey Shore, they're not that toxic couple. Like, people are allowed to change. And I think like the power of reality TV and like streaming services, like you can watch an old season today and you might think that's that same person, and this person is on a whole other journey, but then now they're getting hate from a 12-year-old who just discovered your show.
That's such a thing, and I'm like, oh my god, it must be so annoying to be a reality star on some of these older huge shows, because I just imagine every month, every week, they're getting someone mad about something they did 10 years ago.
Okay, so we're gonna play a game called Blame It on the Edit. I'm gonna give you a famous villain or character that was, hated, and I want to get your initial reactions, or, can they blame it on the edit, or are they truly a villain?
Okay. Hopefully I know them.
Okay. First one, it's throwback early 2000s, Omarosa.
Oh my god. That's a loaded one. I mean, I think she's a villain, but she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's selling. She was on House of Villains, and she was...
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, the next one is Phaedra from Housewives and recently Traitors.
Oh my god. Phaedra's iconic. I'm just gonna say iconic for all of these.
Iconic.
Iconic.
Well, and that goes back to like she knows who she is, and like if you're gonna be a villain, like stand in it.
Yeah.
Don't. Which is why a lot of people didn't really connect with Plain Jane at first, because like she would say something, but then like I could feel like she was putting on, and she would feel a little bit bad or backtrack, and I'm like, no, girl, just be a bitch, you know.
Phaedra was everything. The Traitors season 2, Traitors was the best.
Next one is Fifi O'Hara, RuPaul's Drag Race.
It's just these people are just caught at a bad time in their lives. I feel like she just. I don't think she can blame it on the edit, but she was young. They're young people in a stressful situation. What do you expect?
And then famous, villain recently is Shake from Love is Blind.
Oh, he's a villain.
Trash.
No. I mean, it was kind of funny to see him on House of Villains, because he was kind of like out-villained by everybody, because everyone else was so used to like that label, and they're from competition shows, and they know how to like play it up, and he was just kind of normie compared to them. And it was funny to see like the evil Vanderpump Rules guy trying to give him like advice on like monetizing his villainy and stuff.
That's pretty cute. I love that.
But Shake, gross.
He was just it was just like the way he was treating like the other women, the castmates, like he's trash. And like obviously he's human, he could grow, but dude, don't.
He's just a douchey guy. I mean, the Love is Blind and those shows are breeding grounds for douchey men.
Well, now too, like I feel like the trouble with Love is Blind right now is like a lot of people are going on there solely just to get famous and not actually find love.
Of course.
Who's that guy? Trevor.
Oh my God, the plot twist.
Yeah,
so
like
season.
If you haven't watched Love is Blind, like Trevor was the guy who went on to this dating show to potentially meet, someone you would like to marry. He fully had a girlfriend who he was texting up until he went on to this project or this experiment saying like, I loved you, I want to marry you, all this stuff. And they aired him out, brought him on the reunion and was like, screenshot. Why did you do this? And like the hosts were like very mad.
They took notes from Andy Cohen because this last reunion was pretty good. And I was so sure they weren't going to even address it because they normally kind of ignore social media. And I'm just like, at this point, you can't ignore social media. It's such a key part of the experience for the audience. And yeah, Trevor got cooked.
It was so interesting. Well, that was the game on Blame It on the Edit. A lot of these people are villains we love to hate unless they're like trash.
Yeah. Like they're important. That's how you make heroes. Like I talked in one of my recent videos about how like Plain Jane was this villain. Everyone kind of hated her at the beginning, but she kind of made a hero out of a mandatory meeting who the fandom might have overlooked because she wasn't maybe as polished as the other queens, but I feel like having the underdog story that Plain Jane provided helped her be more loved by the fans. And it's interesting how villains, even though they impact someone's experience negatively in the moment, maybe in the long run, it can help make heroes out of some people. Yeah,
and I think like you were saying, like you absolutely need these archetypes to move just the storyline and the plot forward. Like you can't, because it'll just be a boring season. Like
it's conflict.
If it's
conflict
not the case.
Is important for a story.
Yeah, I think famously, like on RuPaul's Drag Race season 4, like Fifi O'Hara and Sharon Needles, a lot of their fights were like, they planned and they talked about and they like made it more like exaggerated than it could have, because it's like, okay, we know what's gonna get views. And honestly, like a lot of people are fine with the villain edit. They know it, they love it, they embrace it. Like New York or Mistress Isabel Brooks, like they kind of know like what they're getting skewed by producers, and they're just like playing into it, like Candy Muse or something like that.
And I think on Bravo, people are very good at that and very used to it. And if they're labeled a villain, they like play it up. Like these housewives are so good at playing it up. That's why they were all so good on The Traitors. Like, they just know how to bring the drama and like overdo it, but in a way that feels like fun and authentic to them. It's just very interesting.
Phaedra was a queen. I'm still mad that
I
her
know.
or
I'm still mad about the finale of The Traitors.
we're not even gonna get into it. If you wanna hear more about that, go to your YouTube channel and you can hear all about that. But who was the other person? Kate.
Kate.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I just love like really strong women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damn that weasel.
I know.
Watch
I know.
Traitors.
And I love Sandra too. She's OG from
Yes.
Survivor, the queen of Survivor.
Queen of Survivor won
Yeah.
twice the game, which is hard to do.
Hard. Yeah. I love her.
But that makes me think of like reality TV and like what you love and pop culture and why reality TV is so important, just because you have to, I feel like, just to be a part of like society, you have to get the nuances. Like for me, like I'm always referencing or saying a quote like from a show. Like I quote like Drag Race all the time. I quote Housewives. I quote New York. I like Wendy Williams even. Like I'm just like,
Yeah.
James, what was that? Like it's a part of, it's a part of the culture. It's like, to know reality TV is to be a part of the culture. And like the podcast, it's obviously named Inherently Gay. Like Inherently Gay is just synonymously tied with culture, and you have to understand the culture, and you have to understand the zeitgeist of reality TV to get these references. And to be queer is to be in the know, and to be in the know is to watch reality TV.
It opens up conversations a lot of the time. Like it's conversations maybe you wouldn't have. Like all my friends watch Love is Blind, and I don't know if I like expected them to or not, but it's just these shows kind of provide like a common ground for people to talk about, well, like, is that thing he did okay or not? And it's a way to like measure ourselves up and see how we're doing, and because it's supposed to be like real people. So rather than in fiction where it's like, well, it's fiction, you can still see yourself and stuff, but it's not the same as like, these are real people in real situations, and it's like, how would I react in that? And it opens up that conversation with your loved ones or whoever. For me, it's like random people that comment and watch my my videos. It's just interesting to hear all these different perspectives, and it's just brings me things I would have never thought about before.
Yeah. And it's just a good way to connect with other people, like, especially if you don't know what to say or if you're meeting someone new. Like, I had a coworker who, like, I didn't really know well, and then we had lunch and we started talking about, 90 Day Fiance and Drag Race, and like they've never seen Drag Race and I've never seen 90 Day Fiance, so we were explaining it to each other, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go watch this show because like that sounds crazy, like you marrying someone you don't know and like 90 days to get like a citizenship and all that stuff, like super interesting.
Yeah, like it's such a way to connect, and I feel like my MO a lot of the time is to like convince my friends to watch TV shows I think they'll like, and I get so much satisfaction when they do and they get into it and we talk about it. I feel like I spread Vanderpump Rules like the plague in my friend group. It's kind of scary. I was patient zero and now they're all addicted. All their boyfriends hate me because that's all that's playing in the background, and I just love like connecting over that. And I don't know, it just brings up interesting conversations.
And it's cute. You can have like watch parties. Like I invited you to a Drag Race watch party, and like I started going because I mean, I don't really want to go to the club right now, like, but I go to these watch parties, and it's kind of like gay. It's literally gay sports, y'all.
It
like
is.
People are screaming. There's like drag queens as the host, and like I meet people that go to the watch parties, and like it's so cool to like see them week after week and like becoming a regular and forming a community and being like, oh hey, like how was your week this week or whatever, and like we just talk and we like have found community over this show that we love.
That was so fun, and I need to go more often. I get so guilty of like just hermiting in my house because I'm so introverted. I get tired from the week, but I'm so glad I went to that watch party. I hadn't been out this season yet, and I was excited to. And yeah, that's the closest thing I have to sports. And I think some other shows do watch parties here and there. I haven't tried those, but for Drag Race, it's like always such a fun time.
Okay.
And there's several in our city in Austin and in other cities. So It's fun. I highly
So,
recommend.
so I know that, Love is Blind just wrapped, Traitors wrapped, all of these really great, these juggernauts of reality
Mm-hmm.
shows recently have just wrapped seasons or we're coming up on the close of some of the shows.
Yeah.
What are you currently watching or what are you excited to start watching next?
Yeah, I think right now I'm kind of focused on shows that are kind of long standing. I feel
Mhm.
like Traders and Love is Blind are kind of newer to the game, and they were great. And I feel like they run for more like half seasons, so that's why they're over. We're kind of in the spring season now. So right now, live, I'm watching Drag Race, of course. I'm excited for that finale.
Mhm.
I'm be happy for anyone to win. And I'm watching Vanderpump Rules live right now, their current season, and I'm really excited for their reunion that should be coming up soon. And then I'm watching the new Survivor season that's currently airing. So those are kind of like mainstays in my watch week. I don't know.
Mhm.
Now, right now, I feel like a streaming show isn't like super big that I'm watching. I am watching Couple to Throuple because some of my viewers wanted me to cover it. I'm not really living for it, but
Mhm.
I will do it for them. And yeah, I think I'm just excited, hopefully, for a Queer Ultimatum. Usually, or last year, it came around Pride season, and I would hope they would do it again.
Mhm.
So hopefully new Queer Ultimatum coming, and there's always 2 Love is Blind seasons per year, so I'm excited for whatever the next one is. And I think The Circle's premiering this month, but I'm not that into The Circle anymore. It kind of fell off.
Yeah, it's
Hot take.
got boring. No, that's exciting. And then I didn't know there's gonna be another Love is Blind season, so that's cool.
Yeah, usually there's one like early in the year and one like later in the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you could have, let's say you can get your mind like wiped and you could experience one season of a show or a franchise, what would that season be and what show?
That's a great question. There's so many,
Mhm.
obviously, but for me, I think it would have to be Cycle 6 of America's Next Top Model with the ultimate top model villain of all time, Jade is her
Mhm.
name. She does the wonderful, fabulous GIF. I don't know if y'all know, you know. That season is so unhinged. It's where this this is not America's Next Top best friend comes from, that
Mm,
quote. And it's one of the first times there's a quote like that of like, this is not whatever best friend.
mhm.
So that season is so good. The winner's great. There's a lot of hilarious characters for Rhonda. There's a rap. Uh, it's iconic. It's so good. I would Eternal Sunshine myself
Yes.
constantly to
Lobotomy, yeah.
yeah, to rewatch that.
I need to go check it out. Yeah, I
I
grew
recommend it. It's on Hulu.
I grew up watching America's Next Top Model, but like it's been so long and like again, like it wasn't on a streaming service, so I would
Mhm.
watch it on like Oxygen or whatever whenever it came on. So it was
Yeah.
very sporadic and I had to be like, "Oh, did I see this episode? Did I miss something?"
Mhm.
So I need to check that out cuz
Season 6 is the best season. Like
okay.
you wouldn't regret it. It's
Okay.
so good.
I need to check it out. I think for me mine would be RuPaul's Drag Race All Stars 2.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that would be on my list for sure.
or just like not even All Star 7, the all winner season. I think just like the adrenaline and the hype as a fan of being like, oh my God, it's like all winners, all just like the hype behind that. Like
Oh,
it's
that's
giving
great.
Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Quarter Quell, like all victors, all winners. Like it's as like a watcher, like I'm a competitive person. So as a watcher, like I feed into that for it's giving gay sports fan.
Yeah, absolutely. That was everything. That season was so good. And yeah, like you want to know who's the queen of all queens, who's
Yeah.
going to win out of the winners.
Who's your all-time favorite? You can either answer who's your all-time favorite, either Drag Race queen or just like hero of a show, a reality show.
Yeah, I mean, I think Drag Race, I have so many. I love Bob and Monet. I think they're my favorite. I love Sibling Rivalry. I'm a patron, everything. So I'm obsessed with them. I also love like Aquaria randomly. I don't
Awesome.
know
Nice. I love that. I live for Shea Coulee. She's
Ah.
probably like number one diva. But I feel like I could talk about this all day. Thank you for coming in. I love reality TV. I feel like I know what I need to watch. If you want to catch up on shows, watch the rest of these podcasts, but also watch, your favorite shows, visit them back. A lot of them, it's really great. They're on streaming services now. But where can people find you online, on, all the socials if they want to catch your content?
Yeah, so I'm on YouTube at Miscellaneous. You can catch me there. I cover Love is Blind and other reality TV. I covered like House of Villains, Golden Bachelor. I cover lots of things. Also, occasionally rom-coms and teen shows. I just love anything feminine. And yeah, I'm at Miscellaneous on YouTube and also on Instagram and Twitter, RIP Twitter, and TikTok as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for coming by. I love reality TV. I think it's a staple in, not just queer identity, but a conversation starter with everybody. So thank y'all for tuning in. If you love it, give us 5 stars. Check us out. Check out the rest of the episodes. And we'll be back next Monday with a new episode. But yeah, go stay safe and go binge a reality show. See y'all. Bye.